Chapter 270, Qingshans. On the way to the School of General Senses, Zhu Tui had been thinking about Luo Shifeng's suggestion regarding his elective ability. In reality, Zhu Tui had been considering this question for 7 to 8 days. During the 7 days he lay on the hospital bed, other than cultivating, he thought about this question the most. Moreover, he was not daydreaming. He still had the large amount of information that a Huang had gathered for reference. Zhu Tui's initial thought was actually rejected by Luo Shifeng. He had initially wondered if he should cultivate 1 or 2 killing moves of the extreme branch. He would definitely have to cultivate the speed, physical strength, and recovery ability of the extreme branch in the future. So should he cultivate 1 or 2 extreme branches killing moves as his trump cards? This was especially so when Zhu Tui was cultivating the Vira Tide Force field. He had to cultivate every day to strengthen the energy field in his Danshan. He had a foundation in this aspect. However, Luo Shifeng made it very clear, since his mind power was far ahead, he had to consider his mind power. Actually, what Zhu Tui was most interested in were supernatural abilities. The supernatural cultivation projection card that Wen Xiao had given Zhu Tui back then was still there. He thought that it would be great if he could choose a supernatural ability to cultivate. Fire element, earth element, water element, and ice element were all excellent choices. It could also unleash his mind power's advantage. Speaking from the bottom of his heart, from his experience of chasing dramas since he was young, it was really cool to see flames fill the sky and mountains collapse. However, just as Luo Shifeng had said, Zhu Tui did not activate a single genetic base point of the supernatural ability in the direction of his innate ability when he entered the school. Zhu Tui had come to Luo Shifeng with the thought that he was experienced. After all, Luo Shifeng had been on the path of cultivation for 30 years and was very knowledgeable. He did not expect Luo Shifeng to suggest that Zhu Tui go to the School of General Senses, which he had never considered before. Zhu Tui had even considered the School of Radiation Influence before. The School of Radiation Influence also relied purely on mind power. And once the Radiation Influence type ability grew, its ability to control the field would be very powerful. In the team clearing mission, third-year students from the School of Radiation Influence were even more popular than those from the Supernatural branch. He had never considered the School of General Senses. Based on Zhu Tui's understanding, the School of General Senses was not attractive to him. Qingshan was at the research center of the School of General Senses. When Zhu Tui rushed to the research center of the School of General Senses, he realized that the School of General Senses was not that simple. There were actually 2 teaching locations in the tiny School of General Senses. One was in an office building inside the Mystery Branch. On the other hand, the research center of the School of General Senses was located at the northernmost edge of the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College. This was the back garden of the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College. There was a lake, a garden, a small forest, and a few small mountains. It was the favorite place for couples from the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College. The research center of the School of General Senses was located in the lakeside garden of the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College. This geographical environment should be the best in the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College. He crossed the stone bridge and passed through the forest's path. Zhu Tui's repulsive force wheelchair startled quite a few couples. He finally saw the signboard of the School of General Senses in the deepest part of the forest path. It was very inconspicuous, but the environment was definitely top-notch. He stepped into the building. There was a rockery, flowing water, bamboo, small trees, all kinds of flowers and plants. A fountain, a viewing ladder, a listening platform, and other buildings. Zhu Tui was stunned. Was this a resort or a research center? However, there were very few people. Along the way, Zhu Tui only saw 7 or 8 seniors in school uniforms. They were all sitting in an extremely relaxed and comfortable manner. They were either sitting on the top of a mountain, high up on the observatory, or under a tree. It was extremely quiet. Occasionally, there would be a few birds chirping. The senior brother sitting under the tree did not even remove a bug from his face. It made Zhu Tui's heart itch. In the end, he held himself back. He should just leave them alone. "You're here. Have you not recovered from your broken leg?" Qingshan, who had a shiny head, looked at Zhu Tui with disdain. "Mr. Ku, it's only the 9th day. It'll take another 6 days to recover, Zutui said. Did you get any bone-stimulating or circulation-stimulating needles today? Qingshan asked. Zutui was a little surprised. He was here to learn about the core courses of the School of General Senses. Why was Qingshan talking about his leg? But he was still concerned, right? Mr. Ku, I did it this morning. What time did you do it? It was injected at 8 in the morning. Zutui was even more surprised. It's 10:30 now. It's only been 2 hours. You're lucky it wasn't more than 3. Qingshan's words made Zutui feel a little confused. Here, drink this level E energy restoration elixir first. Qingshan was extremely generous. He handed $5,000 to Zutui. However, Zutui was still baffled. It's sealed. It's not opened or poisoned. Why? Are you afraid that it'll harm you? But with your looks and figure, there's a possibility that you'll be raped if you put on makeup and wear female clothes in a bar, Qingshan teased. Zutui was speechless. He opened the bottle and drank the level E energy restoration elixir. He suddenly asked maliciously, Mr. Ku, have you been single for 30 years like Professor Luo? Zutui had been constantly growing during this period of time. He had become bolder. He respected his teacher, but he also understood that his teacher was also a human. They are not a god, nor was he a saint. In terms of pure friendship between a man and a woman, I only became single half a month ago. I'm much better than old Luo. Old Luo is old and has been single for several months. Iticles. Zutui suddenly looked surprised. He felt that his broken leg had suddenly become very itchy. It was as if countless insects were crawling. It's normal that it itches. I'll continue to answer your previous questions. If we're talking about marriage, old Luo has been single for 47 years. I've only been single for 42 years. It's not a lot. Two old bachelors. Zutui instantly understood. It was no wonder that they would always have a drink during the weekends. These are two old bachelors. However, in the next moment, Zutui's expression changed drastically. He could not help but want to pinch his broken leg. Damn, this is too itchy. I can't take it anymore. Hold on, don't move. Hold on for another 3 minutes. Let me give you a suggestion. If you really can't take it anymore, you can pinch the inside of your other thigh, or the inside of your arm, or the soft flesh of your waist. Use the pain to distract yourself. Qingshan had a strange smile on his face. Zutui, who could not control the itch in his broken leg, could not help but attack his inner thigh. He pinched it once. The corners of his mouth twitched in pain. However, the extremely itchy feeling had indeed lessened. To be precise, it was diluted by another feeling. 3 minutes later, the inside of Zutui's left thigh was already bruised. Qingshan finally said, "It's done." Zutui heaved a sigh of relief. He immediately collapsed onto the chair, his entire body covered in sweat. This itch was really fatal. Mr. Ku, what did you do to me? Don't you feel anything? Walk a few steps on the ground. My leg has recovered? Zutui was startled. In the next moment, when his broken right leg gently stepped down, it did not hurt. He took another step. It still didn't hurt. Then, Zutui let go and walked around quickly. He was dumbfounded. In the next moment, he adjusted his breathing on the spot and entered meditation right in front of Qingshan. He switched to his realistic introspection state and looked at his broken leg. The part of his leg that had been broken had completely healed. Only the color of the bones at the fracture seemed to be gradually changing. It should be because they had just healed. Holy shit, Zutui only had these 2 words in his mind. Was this a healing technique? He had never heard of it before. It was simply amazing. The broken leg that originally needed 6 days to grow back would be healed in 3 minutes in Qingshan's hands. This peed. Zutui looked at Qingshan in shock. Qingshan looked at Zutui's shocked expression with a smug expression. Little thing. He even dared to look down on the School of General Senses. See if this move can scare you. Mr. Ku, is this the ability of the School of General Senses? Zutui, who had gotten rid of the repulsion-powered wheelchair, had a shocked expression. Yes, but it's just one of the application directions. Then why don't you go to the medical center? There are so many students with broken legs that you can treat in a day. How much money could you save for the school if you did? Zhu Tui asked in shock. Qingshan was speechless. Get lost. Do you think my ability is like cabbage, who can enjoy it just because they want to? It's usually only used during wartime. Besides, if they were to be cured immediately, wouldn't they break their legs every day? Do you want me to die of exhaustion? Zhu Tui nodded. He seemed to be making a lot of sense. He immediately became interested in the School of General Senses. Mr. Ku, tell me about the School of General Senses. Yes, take a look at the name of our School of General Senses first. Just like your previous idea, you think that the School of General Senses is just a classification of two simple abilities. Instantiation and perception, right? Qingshans said. Zhu Tui nodded vigorously. He had thought the same before. Your so-called instantiation and perception are just the application of mind power. Our School of General Senses, the instantiation and perception are of one body. Our Chinese language is profound. Instantiation of your perception. View these words as a whole. You should be able to get some meaning of it, Qingshans said. Perception instantiation? Zhu Tui was thinking, but Qingshan's mouth did not stop. Perception instantiation is a completely new ability that we're still trying to figure out. Ever since the Great Genetic Age began 100 years ago, the extreme branch had appeared the earliest. The supernatural branch had only appeared a year or two later, but it had a history of nearly 100 years. Even the School of Radiation Influence had a history of nearly 90 years. However, our School of General Senses is still young. It had only been 51 years since we discovered the theory and basic cultivation methods. It's very new, but it also has a promising future, Qingshan said. Zhu Tui nodded, but he frowned slightly. Mr. Ku, I still don't quite understand the meaning of the word perception instantiation. Zhu Tui read it several times. It seemed a little interesting, but he still did not quite understand. Let me explain it this way. To put it simply, it's to materialize everything you sense. Qingshans said. Materialize everything you sense? Zhu Tui was shocked. This statement was too impressive. You don't believe me? Zhu Tui did not nod or shake his head. Although he felt that Qingshan would not lie to him, he still had his doubts. Watch carefully, Zhu Tui nodded. As he spoke, Qingshan took out a needle and gently pricked his fingertip. He squeezed hard and flicked a drop of blood forward. The moment the blood rolled forward, it suddenly disappeared. No, it didn't disappear. The drop of blood turned into a person. Qingshan. 12 Qingshans had appeared in front of Zhu Tui. The two shiny foreheads were exceptionally dazzling under the sunlight. Qingshan, who had suddenly appeared, seemed to be real. Zhu Tui was once again dumbfounded.